Hello there, and thank you for staying with us. This is Voice of the People 90.3 FM, and here are the top stories. CDS Musa charges military commanders on United Front against insecurity. Atiku lambasts Tinubu on dehumanization of end bad governance protesters. Peter Obi reacts to video of underage suspected protesters in court. INEC reveals stand on Rivers Assembly crisis. And President Tinubu insists on tax reform bill, counters National Executive Committee. Details now. Well, we'll begin the news with the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, today urging top officers and commanders in the Nigerian Armed Forces to maintain strong cooperation to address ongoing security challenges nationwide. The call came as Major General Olufemi Oluyede officially assumed duties as the Acting Chief of Army Staff in a ceremony held in Abuja. Speaking at the event, General Musa emphasized that Nigeria is currently facing significant security hurdles that require unified efforts. He noted that President Bola Tinubu's decision to appoint Oluyede as acting Chief of Army Staff was driven by a need for continuity in the Army's leadership, ensuring that the military maintains its momentum in countering threats. Elsewhere, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has slammed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's led administration for detaining and prosecuting #End Bad Governance protesters who are minors. You recall that minors were today arraigned by the Nigeria police for alleged treason. The minors were said to have been arrested by Nigeria police during the August hunger protest. 4 of the malnourished minors detained for 3 months over #End Bad Governance protests slumped during an appearance in the courtroom today. Reacting in a statement, also, Atiku described the video showing the moment the minors slumped as disturbing. Atiku, a former People's Democratic Party presidential candidate, said he finds it reprehensible that Tinubu, who claims to have fought for Nigeria's democracy and had led protests, now demonizes those who decide to demonstrate against the effects of his harsh policies. Now, former presidential candidate as well, Peter Obi, has also condemned the viral video of some malnourished children who were arraigned in court today. Well, the children were arraigned before a federal high court in Abuja on a 10-count charge involving treason, but a mild drama played out when some of them started slumping in court. The suspects are said to have been in custody since August when the protest took place and they were arrested. Peter Obi reacting described the happening as disturbing. He submitted that from their look, the children were poorly handled in custody. The former Anambra State governor said suspects deserve to be treated with dignity, even as the nation's laws presume them innocent until found guilty by a court. He therefore called on the judge to halt what he described as an embarrassment. While the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has clarified the commission's stance regarding the ongoing controversy within the Rivers State House of Assembly. According to Yakubu, INEC has refrained from intervening due to conflicting court judgments surrounding the Assembly's legitimacy. The crisis stems from an ongoing power tussle between 2 factions within the Rivers Assembly, with one side loyal to Governor Sim Fubara and the other, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Well, Fubara's faction recently urged INEC to conduct by-elections to fill the seats of 25 assembly members aligned with Wike, who were allegedly declared vacant. At a stakeholder meeting with media executives in Abuja, Yakubu disclosed that the commission's inaction was due to several conflicting court judgments at both state and federal levels, making it challenging for INEC to determine the legitimacy of the factions involved. Yakubu said, and I quote, "The seats of 25 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly were declared vacant by 3 other members. In retaliation, the 25 members declared the seats of those 3 vacant. The court judgments from Rivers High Court and Federal High Court offer differing views on the legitimacy of these lawmakers, and INEC has been closely monitoring these developments." The INEC chairman further noted that in addition to the Rivers Assembly issue, the Commission has been preparing to conduct by-elections for various House of Representatives and House of Assembly Assembly seats across the country that have been declared vacant due to death or resignation of members. INEC is looking to schedule these by-elections by mid-December 2024. Yakubu also discussed the logistical challenges posed by frequent by-elections, noting that since July 2023, the Commission has managed around 20 by-elections nationwide. To address this, INEC is exploring an alternative approach in which political parties might directly nominate a new representative to fill a vacant seat left by a deceased or resigned member. While President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has refused to withdraw the tax reform bill from the National Assembly, the president set the call by the National Economic Council, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima, for the tax reform bill to be withdrawn for further consultation and engagement would not be granted. The president said, while he commends the advice of the Vice President and the first 6 state governors on the bill, he believes that the legislative process, which has already begun, provides an opportunity for inputs and necessary changes without withdrawing the bills from the National Assembly. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment. This time around, we'll be discussing some prominent issues. I actually have right here with me in the studio, Mr. Peter Anosike. He's a political, national and social affairs commentator, and he'll be giving us his insights into some of the questions that will be posed at him. Do kindly stay with us. Mr. Peter Anosike, good evening and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
It's thank God it's Friday. Let's look at the scenario that happened in court today. I saw that video. I talked about it at the World News at 12. It was quite an appalling sight. Now, Mr. Peter Anosike, what is the duty of the Nigerian police? When you arrest minors, are you not meant to protect them, even if their case is being tried in court? Secondly, what kind of court is meant to try the case of these minors? Because the age range of these minors, of these children that are referred to as minors, is between 12 to 15 and 16 years. If you had seen them in court, you would have actually understood why they're termed minors. What court is meant to try these children?
Well, I watched that video myself over and over. It was a national embarrassment. I feel very, very sad. And for those children are minors, understand? And ordinarily, they're supposed to go to juvenile courts. They are supposed to go to juvenile courts.
Okay.
On what basis are you charging children who you do not even see stones that are not sticks in their hands to treason? What do they know? Do they know what is treason?
You said you did not see stones or sticks in their hands. Are you sure?
I said, on what basis?
Okay.
Okay. Is the judge or the police that's charging them for treason?
Well, the police prosecutor is charging them, according to what the police prosecutor says, for public disturbance, for demolishing public infrastructure,
and
wanting
treason.
to take over President Tinubu's government.
That's balderdash. That is balderdash. What they did, they are demarcating our country. That is an embarrassment on Tinubu in particular and Nigeria in general. Because those kids have, I don't think if they have fed in the last 3 days.
They haven't actually. They looked poorly fed,
Understand?
very malnourished.
So these are children, even ordinarily, as the Constitution says, that an accused is deemed innocent until found guilty.
Mr. Peter Anosike, one of them was frothing at the mouth, and some persons had to bring out their phones to record the incident. The judge himself even walked out of the courtroom because he wondered while those children were brought in that state. Some some persons who showed some form of empathy bought biscuits for these children, gave them water. We saw the way
they were hungry, they were malnourished, and these are the policemen that brought them. Maybe have their own children, even though it is on record that police children don't behave well.
The question is, At what point did we get to this level? A couple of Nigerians, in reacting to this, say even during the tenure or administration or military regime of other military administrators, like what we'll consider one of the worst rulers in this country in the military regime as Abacha, that it wasn't at this point. A couple of other critics have pointed out to the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was one of the persons who fought for Nigeria's democracy, specifically being in NADECO. How come his administration is tolerating something like this?
Some people use populism, understand?
Okay.
Wicked people use populism, understand? That to get into political positions.
Okay.
And when they get there, they will now show their true selves. Adams Oshiomhole was one, understand?
Okay.
When I was in the labor movement for more than 10 years, when we were there, we thought that all of us are fighting for the nation.
Okay.
We don't know that some people just want to use it to become popular and then run an election and win and now manifest their wickedness. So Tinubu was in NADECO. Tinubu has seemed to be a fighter of the oppressed. When from 1999 to 2007 when Obasanjo was in power, most of the protest that was being organized, Tinubu that was directly or indirectly in support. I was a labor correspondent for the Sun newspaper. So we go to Teju Osho, that's NLC office. We have meeting. We know where our support were coming from. Understand me? So now we thought that all of us have Nigeria, that the country at heart.
Okay.
We don't know that some people just want to use it to get popular and then cross over to the oppressor's side.
But I asked you one question. I said, what court was meant to handle the case of these children?
We have juvenile courts.
So why were they not taken to a juvenile court?
Well,
or would it be that it was any courtroom, and since they're minors, supposedly that particular constituent of that court, the arrangement of that court is meant to be a juvenile court?
No, there's a juvenile court, but you cannot charge children for treason.
That's basically what they charge them for.
You cannot charge children for. Do they know what treason means?
Okay, so
assuming they want to overthrow government, so they will overthrow, and juveniles will become presidents and the vice presidents.
What would the government do to the police officers in charge of those children? Because the police officers just brought all of them like that to the courtroom. What would the executive do? Because it was a very appalling sight.
Me, the Senate should intervene and tell whoever is in charge to let their children, for the children to be taken to hospitals and be treated. They shouldn't be sent back to their parents.
Well, some of them were taken. Those ones who fainted were rushed to the hospital, and they gave them temporary relief for now. Until then, some of them were given bail of 10 million naira, as in bail, of 10 million naira, and 2 shorties in like some. That was basically the recommendation that was given for some of them. But my question is this: the Senate has been known to not be responsive, as in terms of alacrity. They're not fast in responding to issues like this. They rather focus on other issues rather than issues that are actually very critical. So if you're calling on the Senate to intervene,
as assuming that you have a Senate,
okay,
but we have what we have. Our Senate today has become a privileged old people's home. That's what we have as a Senate today.
Right.
A privileged old people's home where people retire and continue to embezzle our common wealth.
Right. So the question now is, if the Senate will not intervene, who will intervene?
Then
who will make sure that those police officers for keeping those children in a very ill-kept manner will be held responsible for
civil society organizations should take this matter up.
All right.
Because this is a very big embarrassment to our nation. There's an association, National Association of Democratic, understand me?
Okay.
So this should be taken up.
Immediately.
Immediately.
All right, let's go on to the Human Rights Association of Nigeria, which have condemned the recent High Court judgments and called on visa restrictions on judges allegedly issuing rulings perceived as politically motivated. They called just yesterday, reacting to the Federal High Court verdict, which halted federal allocations to Rivers State. And they called on these justices, they called on the visa restriction from the United Kingdom, from the European Union, and of course the United States, on Justices John Soho, Justice Joyce Abdul Malik, Justice Peter Lithu, Justice James Omotosho, Justice Donatus Nwezuoke Okorowo, and Emeka Nwite for allegedly delivering politically motivated judgments. These are the judges that have been given judgments in the court concerning the matter in Rivers, and they're asking for a visa ban from the UK, from the European Union, as well as the United States. Is it possible that that can be effective? Can it be effected?
Well, for me, it is possible because I know that your CGN is also under visa ban.
Up till now? Has it not been revoked?
Up till now.
Up till now?
Up till now.
Justice Kukireokun, up till now?
Sure. After the Hope also the market, I know that he was among those that were put under visa ban.
Okay.
So it is possible, but for me, I don't think if that's enough. I don't think if that's enough punishment, if somebody cannot go to UK, cannot go to United States, he can go to Dubai, he can go to Turkey.
All right.
So for me, I don't think if that is enough punishment.
Okay, so what other punishments do you think is required? I mean, there's a process to investigate these judges to know if they're found culpable in the allegations that Huriwa has actually pointed out before those visa restrictions will be placed.
This is what the National Judiciary Council can do, but if they are transparent.
Okay.
But we know that they are not.
So you're saying they will not do anything about it, despite the fact that a panel has been set up by Justice Kekere Eku to look at the conflicting judgments in Rivers State and the judges who have been giving out these conflicting judgments?
The judges that you mentioned, the judgment that they have been given have been favoring the ruling party. So you cannot expect the ruling party to move against their own judgment.
Okay. Now, let's look at a situation where INEC has eventually opened up. You know, we've been calling on INEC as to why they have not conducted by-elections, especially on the vacant seats in Rivers State. They have been conducting by-elections on other states' seats that have been declared vacant. Now, on mid-December, by-elections will be conducted for members who have resigned and those whose seats have been vacated. We don't know if that of Rivers will be part of it. But INEC has said one of the problems they are having is because of the conflicting court judgments coming from Rivers State. In fact, Mahmoud Yakub had actually said they are having serious logistic issues, and this conflicting statements is what is derailing them from conducting by-elections. And the fact that these 25 lawmakers declared their seats vacant to another one, they said the judgments coming from, they don't know which faction of this judgments or which faction of this group is legitimate. So where does that place INEC in this whole quagmire in Rivers?
It is a game. He's not being sincere. We all know what the Constitution says.
He's not being sincere.
He's not being sincere.
Is he not going to wait for any court order from?
All know
before they proceed.
We all know. Whatever is his name, Mahmoud Yakub has a copy of the Nigerian Constitution.
Okay. And
he knows what the Constitution says about a defection.
Okay.
So and the INEC has legal advisors who are well paid. Understand me? Okay. So their legal advisors, if he doesn't know, if he's confused, his legal advisor should advise him. Even as a human being, he must have read the Constitution where it concerns INEC, which is on that area of a defection. Okay. We all know what the Constitution stated.
But what INEC is saying now, they can't proceed if they're not getting a direct court order. And the problem is because when one court gives an order today, another one gives another one tomorrow. He said, let me categorically say what, he said. The court judgment from Rivers High Court and Federal High Court offer differing views on the legitimacy of these lawmakers. And INEC has been closely monitoring these developments. So when a judgment comes from one side of the court, they wait, and then the next day they see another judgment.
But
this has put them in a state of in a
they
confused
have
state.
legal advisors.
No, the question is there is a process. INEC waits for a direct court order. When they begin to have conflicting court orders, how will they carry on with their duties to conduct by-elections? That's what Mark Mundia could be saying.
They are choosing the court to obey and the ones not to obey.
The last court judgment has said that INEC should not conduct any by-election.
He shouldn't deceive us. He knows what he's doing.
Okay, so what should INEC do in this instance? If you're saying INEC knows what to do,
they have legal advisors, and again, Mahmoud Yakub know what the Constitution says about defecting from one party to the other.
So you're saying it's at the discretion of INEC, regardless of the conflicting court judgments, to carry on with the what do you call it? To
he
carry on with another election.
The Constitution. He must follow the Constitution. And from the Constitution and from a judgment that have been given by the Supreme Court, Amawende and the 25 others are no more members of the River State House of Assembly. Understand me? From the Constitution and from the judgment delivered by the Supreme Court, Amawende and others are no more members of the River State House of Assembly.
Okay.
They have vacated that position. So their legal advisor must have told them that.
Interesting. Well, earlier today, the House of Rep member from Labour Party, Professor Paul, disclosed that INEC is to vacate council secretariats nationwide. That he believes because most of these local governments, if they are dominated by a political party, that they sort of strangulate that particular institution, that is the INEC offices there. So there is no form of transparency whenever elections are held. He's suggesting that there should be a neutral venue where INEC offices will be located. I talked about it on the World News at 12. Do you think that's what should take place?
Well, that's already, Mahmoud is talking about no more money that to conduct by-elections.
Yeah.
But he didn't give us account of the 305 billion that was given to him in 2023. Up to today, I've not seen how that money was used. So, local government in the 774 local governments are giving INEC shelter in their local governments. If you want to do anything concerning INEC, you go there.
Okay.
So, if they are truly professional, I don't think that they will
compromise. But it's because of that's why they're asking that they should have a different venue, a neutral venue where these INEC officials can conduct their activities. I think at World News at 12 today, the recommendation was that, okay, those on administrative duty can be retained in the secretariat or in the local government councils, while those who whenever there is any activity to take place, like major elections, obviously there should be a neutral ground for it. But don't you think that would be...
In those local government, sensitive materials are not kept there.
Okay.
Sensitive materials are being kept at CBN.
Okay.
It is only during election that they are being sent to the states where election will be conducted.
Right.
So what they are doing in those local are simply administrative works.
All right. Now, the APC has called on the River State Governor, Sim Fubara, to cease what it termed continuous blackmail. There was a story that circulated that there's going to be a halt on the pipeline within that region.
No,
of course,
was a fake
yes,
news.
Fubara has come out and his team has come out to say that's not true. Now, knowing that that's not true, why is the APC releasing a statement and calling it blackmail when Fubara had said that is not true, that did not come from him? So why is the APC coming out with this statement?
Well, APC is a party that was formed with propaganda. Understand me? It is a party that was formed with propaganda. So propaganda is its main tool.
Well, there was a press briefing which was held today in reaction to that, despite that particular information being discountenanced by the media team of Fubara. And that press conference was convened by Tony Okocha. Tony Okocha is accusing Fubara of attempting to manipulate public opinion against the court ruling, which blocked federal allocations to River State over unresolved issues. So he's reiterating once again that Wike was the one that brought Fubara into the government house, literally saying that all the votes that was voted on behalf of Fubara is not legitimate or is not legal if you say Wike picked him and installed him there like an election wasn't conducted.
As far back as 2010, Simi Fobra was the accountant general of Rivers State.
Okay.
And by 2010, Rotimi Amechi was the governor of Rivers State. So how did the Wike bring him up? Understand me? So even if you bring him up, somebody also brought Wike up. Somebody also brought Wike up. And the person that brought Wike up, is he behaving the way Wike is behaving? The answer is no. Understand? And nobody has succeeded on his own. Somebody must help you.
All right.
Understand me? So somebody helped Wike, and Wike helped Fobra. But the person that helped Wike, is he behaving the way Wike is behaving? Or the answer is no.
Well, in the same press conference, right, there have been elders.
And excuse me.
Okay.
Mind you, in 2015, this Tony Okocha that's now seen Wike as a god, Wike demolished Tony Okocha's house in 2015. Go and check it.
Well, maybe he has paid back. Now he's showing solidarity, so obviously he may have paid back.
That's desperation. That is desperation.
All right, Mr. Peter Onoske, here is the thing again. There are elders, right, who are, in the Niger Delta to reconcile the gladiators in the Rivers crisis. That's Nyesom Wike and Governor Fuber. But Tony Okocha is saying that it's now belated. There is no need for it. There is no point at such an attempt because of how far things have gone. In fact, he made some derogatory comments. He said, where have these elders been? Where? The matter is narrowing down, if you ask me, because the only other hurdle to escape is the Supreme Court. So are we saying there is no room for reconciliation afterwards?
There's no end to peace. Understand me? There's no end to peace. So the elders in Rivers State, because the way I'm seeing Fobra will be ready for peace.
Okay.
Because where there's no peace, there can never be development. So for now, there's no development in Rivers State. But the issue is, can Wike agree? Understand me?
Okay.
That's the question. Can Wike agree to a peace?
All right.
But the only peace is that Wike should leave Fobra alone and face his job at Abuja.
All right. Now, still in Rivers, the Rivers Restoration Movement, a coalition of stakeholders, right? They have condemned the recent comments by Asari Dokubo, the Niger Delta freedom fighter. They are saying they made disparaging remarks about the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, and labeled, Yoruba community as betrayers. That's what Asari Dokubo actually had stated. Well, the Director General of the Rivers Restoration Movement, Johnson Georgewell, he said that his claims, that is, the claims by Asari Dokubo, are misinformed and misleading. And he dismissed his allegations as half-truth and outright falsehood. He said, where was Asari Dokubo in supporting Fubara in the earlier instance? He said he did not support Rivers State Governor Fubara, and he threatened that the Ijaw people would align with northern interests in the upcoming 2027 presidential election. He described his remarks about the Yoruba as unwarranted and baseless. So the question is, why is Asari Dokubo coming out to make declarations like he's making a general statement in conformity with the majority of persons in Rivers, when maybe he's possibly speaking for himself?
He is speaking for himself. He cannot speak on behalf of Rivers people because he doesn't have that capacity. So he can only speak on behalf of himself and the few that he is controlling. So what he said is his own opinion. I don't know the experiences that he must have gone through that made him that to say that, but it is his own opinion, and he is speaking for himself.
Okay. Now, apparently, there have been other issues, and finally, before I will let you go, is concerning a recent situation about the fact that a top judicial officer, according to Senator Abdul, that a top judicial officer came to his room to offer him bribe. He made that disclosure very recent, and it was quite surprising because he argued that Nigerian democracy will fail to grow if the judiciary is not overhauled to deliver justice and not injustice. And he shared his reservation in Yola during an interaction with journalists. He said that who was sacked this year by the appeal court sitting in Abuja, winning his case at the tribunal to return to the Senate for a second term. So he says his mandate was kidnapped in the courtroom by some judiciary bandits sitting on the throne of judgment. He literally called the judiciary bandits. If an ordinary person had made such a reference, would that person be walking scot-free?
Well, even something in me is telling me that he is right by calling them that name.
By calling them judicial bandits?
Sure.
Just because that particular case did not favor him. Have you forgotten
this is what
his
is happening all over the country. That's why the CGN is setting up a panel for this conflicting judgments.
All right, he made a statement, and I hope the NJC will pursue this. A top judicial officer came to my hotel room in Abuja with his wife, demanding money on behalf of the judges handling my case. I have the camera records. I want to talk to his people in Taraba State to caution him so that his career may not be terminated prematurely because of bribe money. If you have these recordings, as you say, why not let them out? Are you not aiding and abetting corruption if you have on tape a judge who came to your hotel room demanding money from you and your wife to handle your case and to settle other judges that will handle your case?
Well, for me, the NJC should seek for the video to be
released.
Because covering up that a criminal is also a crime on its own.
This is a serving senator. For him to
covering up a crime is also, but he has been controversial.
Well, ever since some things did not go his way, he has come out to be quite controversial.
He has been very controversial, and when you are controversial, your character, understand me, your reputation may not be as credible as it should be.
So if this is coming out from the senator affirming the corruption within the judiciary, how should the NJC sanitize itself? It's become appalling and quite embarrassing with what we have experienced so far.
For me, it is eating so deep into them. It has eaten so deep. So I don't know. It is only a miracle that can take it out of them.
Is it that they don't care? Because there's this attitude of I don't care, whatever it is you Nigerians
because
want
they
to
are
say, it's your
receiving
business.
the backing of the government.
So if the NJC,
they are receiving the backing of those in power.
If the NJC is this immersed in corruption, according to Elisha Abu, then what is the hope of the common man? Because the court is the final arbiter of the average man
that was
to
before.
seek justice.
That was before.
So what other avenue can Nigerians get justice in an objectified manner, in a very objective manner? What other avenue can the average man seek justice?
For me, the best thing in Nigeria is try as much as possible not to go to court. Because we don't have justice system in this country. What we have is a legal system. We don't have a justice system.
Mr. Peter Anosike, thank you so much for coming right here to give us your insight and your perspective on the world news at 6. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. To wrap up here again at the top stories. CDS Musa charges military commanders on united front against insecurity. Atiku lambasts Tinubu on dehumanization of end bad governance protesters. Peter Obi reacts to video of underage suspected protesters in court. INEC reveals stand on Rivers Assembly crisis. President Tinubu insists on tax reform bill, counters National Executive Committee. That's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening and thank you for listening.